Hey guys, my name is Nick. I'm the founder of Navi. I'm the CEO.
Hey everyone, I'm Vivek. I'm the CTO co-founder of Navi.
Yeah, and we're going to show you a little bit, an in-depth look into how Navi works. So when a student goes out to fly with the instructor, they would record the flight on the app. They just plug it into the plane, hit record, and as soon as they come back, our debrief would take about 5 minutes to process, and it'll be ready for them once they come back into the debrief room. And what you're seeing here is it's all generated by AI. So what it'll do, it'll create a flight track of the entire flight in the Sling plane over here, and we can jump into different views. We can go inside of the cockpit and look at the flight from the cockpit and play all of that back, or look at it in third person. And all of this here on the left that you see is generated by AI. So it'll assess the pilot, give them a score on that flight based on the expectations of what they were supposed to perform. And it'll give them a little bit of a summary. It'll say, you and the CFI used the airport hopping to great effect today. This is what you guys did. This is what you did really well. You delivered precise takeoff and abort briefings. And then it dives into key improvement areas. So how it works is it'll analyze the radio calls, everything that's verbalized in the cockpit, everything the student was supposed to perform, like the maneuvers, takeoffs, landings, steep turns, stalls, all of that stuff, and it'll create a report. And we were really trying to step away from, showing charts and graphs to students, because we figured that wasn't very useful, right? We'd rather tell them, hey, on your steep turn, you just didn't bump up enough power. If you did that, you'll essentially fix all of your issues here. So they'll get all of their whole debrief saying where they need to improve, but they have this awesome function here where they can click deep dive, and they can. So for example, they went idle before the threshold here. So that was obviously an issue. It caused a great sink rate. So they can choose deep dive, and what the AI is going to do is starting to think and look into what exactly happened here. It looks at what happened before the final approach. It looks at what the instructor did, what the student did, what the engine was doing, and it takes some time to think through this. And it says, hey, this is what happened, and this is exactly how you're going to improve it next time.
And the main reason this is different from a traditional off-the-shelf AI is we are able to look into all the analysis from the lens of an aviation trained AI. So what that means is the AI is trained on all the official FAA documentation on how it is best to train a pilot, and along with all the Sling related documentation on how Sling Pilot Academy does their training. So it has knowledge of all the official procedures, all the airport procedures, all the things that an off-the-shelf AI wouldn't have access to, and then provide feedback and also analysis in the tone of a CFI. So it's trying to almost augment and support the CFI on their efforts to debrief in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one awesome thing that it does is we looked at, it's one thing to tell a student what they did wrong and show how to improve it, but what it does is if it identifies that a student had issues doing steep turns, for example, it will say, okay, he's having issues or she's having issues with this, and what's the next step here? How can I assist, right? So it'll pull up content, it'll pull out YouTube videos, articles, any ACS guides, the P-hack perhaps, and it'll list all of those resources for the student as well. So they can just hop in right away and watch those things and fix these issues. Now another awesome thing is you can speak to it. I'm going to try demo this here with the Wi-Fi connection, but hello, are you there?
I'm here. Welcome back. Is there anything in particular you'd like to focus on today, or should we go step by step through the debrief?
Yeah, let's go step by step. Tell me what I need to improve on.
All right, let's break it down. Overall, you did a solid job with radio communication, traffic awareness, and the general flow. Now, let's focus on a few areas where we can sharpen things up. First, checklist usage. This is key for consistency. You did well staying ahead of the plane, but we want to make sure each checklist gets verbalized and completed every time. That builds habit and keeps you safe. Second, your flare on landing. We noticed a couple of times you flared a bit too high, which caused you to sink through the ground effect. Aim to stay lower before you start that flare.
Okay, so that part, that's kind of confusing to me. I always tend to do that. Can you explain to me like what happened and how I can fix that?
Absolutely. Let's start with the flare and how it ties into your touchdown speed. When you're coming in on final approach, you want to maintain a stable speed, let's say around 65 to 70 knots. That gives you good control and a safety margin. As you get closer to the runway, you gradually reduce power and start to level off just above the runway surface. That's when you transition into the flare, where you gently raise the nose to reduce your descent.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And then can you explain that to me in Japanese?
もちろん、日本語でも説明しますね。
Okay, thank you. And can you explain that to me, as if I was a 5-year-old maybe?
Sure. Think of it like this. When you're coming in to land, you want to be nice and close to the ground before you pull the nose up. If you do it too high, the plane kind of falls down harder. But if you wait...
Okay, thank you. So demoed a few things there, but one of the key things that it does is it's able to explain concepts in a lot of different ways. So when I asked it to explain to me as if I was a 5-year-old, I wanted to simplify a context. That's something really important that we found that students sometimes wouldn't grasp a concept. They needed it explained in a different way. Obviously, it speaks any single language in the world. It can switch between those. So that's like one of the powers of AI. Yeah, that's on the debrief side. That's where we found that students really needed the most help because we found that retention was really low. They would, forget half of their flight as soon as they switched off the engine. So now here they can go back and they can review all of these events, and make sure that they don't do them again, the same mistakes again in the future. Then we have, a lot of awesome stuff. We've got a whole AI agent here, which they can ask any questions to. It'll go through all of the documentations, provide the right answers for the students. We have a whole Learn module where we have a whole AI-generated ground school, a whole flight school. We have a mock oral as well, and I can demo that in a second. I'll probably fail at the answers, but for students preparing for their check rides, it's a way for them to practice. They're very nervous going into the check rides. Sometimes instructors are not really available to give them a full mock check ride. We have all of the handbooks and quick reference guides and everything. What we're trying to do here is just have one app that the student uses for their whole flight training journey, right? So preparing for the flight, during the flight debrief, and just have that whole ecosystem on here. And then, I guess this is the last thing we can demo is the mock oral exam. So this is different. This is, not teaching mode. This is kind of quiz mode. So let's see something that I might be able to answer. I've forgotten a lot of this stuff. It's been a long time since I did a check ride, but let's do weather. Hello.
Hello. Let's start by looking at the first chart. Can you describe what you see on this surface analysis chart and tell me what stands out to you? Take your time and read the pressure systems and fronts carefully.
Yeah, so we have high pressure systems, low pressure systems. We have cold fronts and warm fronts. I guess the cold ones would be the ones in the blue, and the warm ones would be the ones in the red.
That's correct.
So we hope that a tool like this, having essentially a CFI that knows everything about your airplane and your training environment in your pocket at all times, will ultimately make students much safer and better pilots. Let them, allow them to complete their certifications much faster and kind of demystify the whole process, especially for private pilots that are, very early on in their training and they don't really know how to navigate the books and the courses and the video courses and all of this stuff. It's kind of, it's like drinking out of a hose pipe in the beginning to take all of this information in. So what we're hoping to do here is kind of tie all of that together and give students one place where they can come and have all of their flight training resources in one place. Yeah, but anything else you wanted to add?
more on the side of like how we are handling all the data and the avionics too. So we want to be like really conscious about the privacy of the pilots and fully respect like the sanctity of a training environment. So like what we do for that is essentially when we log all the data, we make sure that any conversation, any information that's not related to a flight training is completely truncated. So any private conversation that happens in the cockpit is completely eliminated, and we only gather information on specific training maneuvers and anything that can be related directly to flight training. And then we take that, we sync that up with the avionics information and get more context from the audio, and then really paint a picture of the flight. It's not really used to penalize anyone against any deviations. This is like, we want to stay completely outside of it, and we have no control over it either. So we just give this information to the AI. All of the data is then discarded, and then what the student and the instructor and the flight school has access to is the post-analysis of what happened in the airplane, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer our most asked questions is no, it does not care if you swear in the cockpit. When you mess up a landing, it will not ding you on that at all. It's just looking at how safe of a pilot you are. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you guys. So this is Navi AI. We're super excited to launch it here for the very first time into a training environment at Sling Pilot Academy, and we can't wait for you guys to try it out and use it.
Thank you, guys.